Hey, what is going on, guys? My name's Naif. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I think the face cam might be a little bit glitchy. I got stuff in front of my face, but I will say that right now, what we're going to be doing is a mouse guide, and this is going to be a how to aim, or quote unquote, how to calibrate your aim regardless of the game you're playing. Now, this is not going to be 100% accurate, as I'm making this for those games, those one-off games that have usually console ports that are like ported to PC. And so you, instead of having a proper variable slider, like for example in Apex, if we look here, mouse, instead of having one of these where you could see the numbers and you could just change it whenever you want or slide the slider, instead you only have the slider, and so you just have to guess. You just have to eyeball it and guess and go like, okay, maybe my sensitivity is around here, and it's never going to be 100% accurate, and you know that's just to be expected. But what I'm here to do today is help you guys do this, and I'm going to do this for two kinds of people that like heavy mice and people that like light mice. As you can see over here, we've got the G Pro X Superlight, and then right here we have the Logitech G604. So we have the lightest mouse from Logitech, and we have one of the heaviest mice from Logitech, and I use both. So what I'm going to be doing here is like, I'm going to be calibrating, and I'm going to be reasonable with everyone and with everything and what I do here, so that we can be as accurate as possible, even if we're just guessing. Now, of course, there are some one-off games that only have sliders, but you can go into the game file settings and edit your stuff from there. But let's say you uninstall the game and you don't remember how to get back into those files or which specific folder, and you'd have to look it up and you don't want to look it up. So instead, what we're going to do is we're just going to eyeball it, and we're going to hope that this is relative to our sensitivity. So I'll give a few examples of games that only have sliders and don't have like anything else. The first ones I could think of right off the bat are the old Call of Duties. So like MW2, MW3, I believe Black Ops 2 as well. If you play any of those games, they all have sliders, and they do not have variables. You can't just edit it. Dark Souls, and like this doesn't even just apply to FPSs anymore. It's just anything that's console ported that isn't fully like converted to PC or to make PC optimal for those games. So we're going to start off with heavy mice, because I have a feeling that there's still a lot of people that play with heavy mice out there. If you're curious about what I use, specifically what my sensitivity is, currently it is at 1.3. It was at 1.9 not too long ago. I went from 2 to 1.9 to 1.5 to 1.3. Am I trying to go lower and lower? No, not really. It's just depending on the mouse I use, I have to go lower and lower, just because these mice are very different in terms of weight. So 1.3 is really for this mouse, and then usually 1.5 is for this mouse. And I have 800 dpi. I use 800 dpi across the board regardless of the game I'm playing. First off, the first thing you can do is, if you have a worn out mouse pad, or if you use one mouse pad and you've used it for a long time, and let's say you never really wash it often, or maybe you do wash it but it's like once in a blue moon, what you can start by doing actually is you could sort of cheat, because your mousepad will have your skin cells on there, and you will be able to see visually where you start, where your track starts, and where your track stops. Kind of like skid marks with tires on the road. Like you can see where it started drifting, or where the car started drifting, and where it stopped drifting, let's say. So in my case, actually, if I take a pen out, I'll take two pens out. They're going to be red. Well, they're markers. Just so that I could show you guys where the marks on my mouse pad start, or where it stops. So for the right, it stops over here, and then for the left, it actually stops over here. So this is the area of play I use. And at the angle that the camera is at right now, it looks very big, but it's actually really small. If I take a Kleenex box and I put it like right here, you could see that it's actually longer than the Kleenex box. I just have a setting on the camera right now that makes it more like a fisheye, so it looks a little better. But as you can see, it's a little bit longer than a Kleenex box. And if you're wondering, yes, I do have big hands. My hands are 12. From here to here, it is 12. And from here to here, it is 21, or about 21. These are all in centimeters. So I have a 21 by 12 centimeter hand. And so where my tracks start and stop, it's generally like this. For example, if I were to eyeball it in Apex, right? So like, for example, if I use default, which is 5, this is way too fast for me. Like I cannot, if you look at me strafe, I'm just strafing with Vantage, you know, like a normal speed character. We're gonna go with our hands out, and I'm just gonna try and I'm gonna try and strafe and track. And as you can see, I can sort of do it, but it's just I keep skipping backwards. I keep going like this. It's just too much. It's too fast. So if I go 1.5 for this mouse, this is a little bit better, and I can track it a little bit better. This is what I'm used to for this mouse at least. But with this being said, the way I track is, or the way I optimize my mouse and my mouse tracking is I actually copied, I think it was Shroud. I think I copied Shroud a little bit, where I anchor my wrist somewhere and then I just move. So I pick the farthest target I can see. So if we reset, so I'm gonna go like this, and then I'm gonna look straight there at this thingy. So if I just, you know, look there, the furthest I can move while holding my wrist is like this. It's barely at this target. Same thing for this, barely at this target. So this is my area of play when only moving my wrist. Actually, I can go a little further, but it's very uncomfortable when I move too far. So we'll just leave it about here. So generally speaking, it'll actually be this to this. This is more reasonable for me because anything past that, I have to move. I get the tendency of moving my arm. So it's really just this. This is really what my sensitivity is meant for. It's in front of me. If you are not aware, or if this doesn't make sense to you on why I would only do this, it's a Counter-Strike thing. Counter-Strike is the kind of game where you only move you only move your screen when you need to. You don't move it more, and you don't go crazy because there's no point. If you go crazy, then I mean, hey, you go crazy, but people could still kill you. So it's a Counter-Strike / Valorant thing. And I use it for every game I play. Now, is it good? No, not necessarily, because I'm a low sensitivity player. Technically speaking, I'm at a disadvantage. But this is where we transition to lightweight mice. So for those of you that are on lightweight mice, yeah, my sensitivity is a little bit crazier because I start using the same force I would use for the heavy mouse, which is around 134 grams, I believe, 134 grams. That's the heavy mouse. This guy's like what, like 60, between 60 and 50. So it's a very big transition. So whenever I use this mouse, I keep going crazy a little bit because I use the same force for the other mouse. I actually just got this mouse yesterday, so that's another thing. I'm still getting used to this one, so it's a little bit different, but I will say that this is not the first time I've used a lightweight mice. I actually had a lightweight mice or mouse before, but I didn't really like it because of the wire. The wire really got in my way, even though I had a mouse bungee. Now, how do you calibrate your aim? This will all heavily depend on what kind of person you are. If you're like me and you're a low sense player, you can hop into CSGO, you can hop into Apex, you can hop into whatever. And for bigger title games, you can go on something like sensitivity calculator. I'll put that down in the description below. And you just choose the game that you want to import your sensitivity to another game. Now, the reason why I'm even making this video is not because I want to advertise that, but it's rather for those games that you cannot use that sensitivity for because the variables just don't exist. Or maybe they do, but it's deep in the files and you don't want to bother finding them. You want to just eyeball it. So in that sense, this kind of video actually kind of makes sense because you want to figure out, all right, where do you feel comfortable? And if you're a high sense player as well, you can see where your marks are because you barely move your mouse around. So you'd probably actually see your skin cells rubbing, especially if you play with your mouse like this. But for me, with my big hands, this is kind of uncomfortable to play with, hence why I play 131. Yeah, because doing this is just way too uncomfortable for me. But yeah, you could, when you play like this, you could actually see where your fingertips would rub on the mouse pad. And just from that alone, you can probably fine with your sensitivity. And you have to be realistic and reasonable with yourself. Another thing is your resolution in your game. If you play on a different res, the way it looks on your screen will be different. Now, is the sensitivity actually going to be different? No. The sensitivity on your screen will always be the same. It's just the amount of pixels you see in your field of view and all these other factors into play that will make it so that it seems like your aim is different. Or this, if you go from stretch res to native or native to stretch res, your sensitivity will feel faster or slower. So if I'm on stretch res right now, I'm on 1440 by 1080p. If I go to straight up 16 by 9, 1920 by 1080, my sensitivity will feel very slow, like sluggishly slow. But because I use a lower pixel density resolution, it feels fine. The sensitivity feels fine to me. And that's that's why the game kind of looks different for those of you that play native. For me, the only way to do this, for me at least, is just to move my wrist left and right and see reasonably, like, where do I feel comfortable and how much screen is moving. Just doing this, because I sit at my computer a lot, right? I play a lot of games. I play a lot of different games. In my case, I should be able to tell. If you can't tell for yourself, because let's say you don't play a lot of games, maybe you're going from MOBA to FPS or 2D games to 3D games, then it will be very difficult for you. But that's the whole point, is that it's never going to be easy. And instead, you would want to calibrate your aim, or you would want to learn to calibrate your aim, just so that you can, you can just get going and get good. But I think that's going to do it for this video. I know this video is very rough and very not rewarding to listen to, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to personal preference and what you use, and be realistic with what you use. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I know this is a long video of me just going around and around and around. I just want to help people. And if you have any questions, if you have any honest questions on how to improve your aim, as even I am not the best marksman in the world, right? So as a person that has just played a lot of video games and would like to help people or try to help people, feel free to leave a comment down below. And if you enjoyed this and you want to see something similar to this, you know what to do. Like and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.